Hello and welcome to October 11th. This is Danielle Garcia, psychic medium, and I have your energy forecast for the week. I'm feeling a little festive today, so hence the Halloween background. Kind of see and play around with some different backgrounds and stuff and just kind of go with the flow and see what emerges so far as the energy forecasts. So how are you all feeling? It's been a pretty eventful few days. In fact, it feels like it's been a pretty eventful few years, right? Being an empath and sensitive on this planet right now is definitely not an easy process. At least for me, I know it's not been so easy. Now, lately, we've been having a lot of geomagnetic activity, a lot of solar flares, CMEs. The Schumann Resonance was down for 3 days, well, pretty close to 3 days. And this morning, it's back online again, YAHOOOO. We're registering at an 8, low. Low, but quote unquote normal rate for the Schumann Resonance is 7.83. Now we haven't really been hitting those normal rates, but what I find incredibly interesting is that for days before we went offline, it was registering at a 6, below normal. Now, historically, if you track the Schumann Resonance over the last 2 years, every time after we go below normal, we hit these really high rates. Me personally, I think that the rate got so high that it didn't register, but that's just my own personal belief. We'll see how this shakes out. Last time I checked, still vibing as an 8, as was what the register was this morning when it came back online. Lots of solar and geomagnetic activity over the last several days. We're expecting high solar activity with an incoming CME and possible KP6 today. Back up your tech, watch for issues with radio connection, cell phone connection, and internet connection, because once those things happen, it's pretty probable that these connections get disturbed. We are in the last full week of Mercury Retrograde, aka Hell Week 20, or just Hell 2021. What's interesting to me about this Mercury Retrograde, we had 6 different planetary retrogrades going on simultaneously at the beginning of this Mercury Retrograde. Now we're down to a total of 6. And this last week really just kind of speeds things up. If you find your temper is pretty short, your patience is growing thin, this is possibly why. So why do these things happen during these energies? It truly is about being disharmonic and out of balance. So it's our opportunity to do things for our physical self, our mental self, emotional self, and spiritual self to get into balance. What I've noticed about this Mercury retrograde, not only has it been the most powerful of 2021, but it's also brought up a lot of shit. So it's those things that you thought you were over and done with, those lessons that you thought you learned, the relationships that you thought were completely out of bounds, and you've dealt with them, they're not coming back into your life. The forgiveness that you've already given and moved on, and yet now it's like all of these things are just kind of showing up in your life and showing up in your face. So this last week of Mercury retrograde, as uncomfortable as it could possibly feel, this is an opportunity for us to dive deep, to look at these different things that haven't worked for us before, to look at our triggers, to look at our wounding, and to figure out, okay, what more do I have to learn from this? Why does the universe continue to send me red flags or continue to present the same type of relationship, the same type of lesson to me over and over and over again? What is it that I'm not understanding about this? And never be afraid to ask your team for help and assistance. That's what our angels, our guides, our ancestors, our loved ones are there for, is for us to ask for help. They don't just come swinging on in and flying on in and figure our shit out for us in our head, because then that is trespassing over our free will. We actually have to ask for it. And a lot of people tend to forget that or just don't realize it. Don't forget, even though this is the last week of Mercury retrograde, Mercury goes direct on the 18th, we'll still have 2 more weeks of post-shadow phase. Yay. So happy about that. You know, of course, I'm very sarcastic, so that's how I deal with uncomfortable situations. Today, Saturn goes direct. So as it goes direct, you may feel this push, pull kind of energy, almost like a passive aggressiveness, or a feeling like you've got one foot on one side of the fence, one foot on the other side of the fence. It's all about possible confliction. Saturn has been in retrograde for the last 5 months. Its teachings include trust, divine timing, accountability, and gratitude. So take time today and revisit those things. What have you learned? What have you not learned? How can you possibly expand on those subjects? And maybe think about doing some journaling about this, or writing your feelings down on bay leaves and then burning them. Something that I'll do that's very powerful for me is I look at it as, what's the name? Word association. So let's say, you know, I bring up divine timing. Boom, what does my unconscious mind come forward with on the subject of divine timing? I'll write it down on a bay leaf and I burn it. Gratitude. What does my unconscious mind have to say about gratitude? I'll write it down on a bay leaf and I'll burn it. It's a nice way of purging, of release, whether that emotion, phrase, or word is positive or negative. It's a wonderful way of clearing. And the vibration of bay is so clearing, it's cleansing, it's transformative. Some people even look at this as a rebirthing when you write on bay leaves. So try it out, test it out, see how you resonate with that. Themes for this week: structure. What is working for you and what isn't? How can you work smarter and not harder? Time is speeding up, and so can efficiency. What is your relationship to spirit? What are the positives? What are the negatives? What needs bending? What needs more focus? Protection. Do you feel that you need energetic protection? Where are your boundaries? Are your boundaries in place? Is your protection in check? And expansion. As we continue to ascend, as we continue to move through all of these different things, be it solar flares, solar storms, the frequency of Earth raising, and so on and so forth. How can you expand? Is this an uncomfortable situation for you? So these are looking at your growing pains. What's working, what's not working, what can you do to ease those growing pains? Don't forget, the veil is at its thinnest during October. Spooky season. It's not named that for just any reason. It really is. The veil is very, very thin. Last night was an insane night for nightmares, lucid dreams, paranormal activity. So if you're feeling that, if you've been feeling more things outside your peripheral vision, if you tend to attract different energies that tend to be paranormal, be advised, this is your opportunity to use your clearing and shielding methods. I'm going to pull some cards from this new deck that I got. It's called Seasons of the Witch by Lorraine Anderson and Juliet Diaz. Oh, here we go. You can kind of see it. I forgot with this background, it's going to be a little bit harder to see, but we'll see what cards come forward. Here's the scary music playing in the background. Anywho, the first card that comes forward is Owl. Behold sight, O ancient ones, for there is magic in the darkest of places if one dares to open their eyes. What a beautiful card. Check that out. Now, as you look at this card, I'm going to ask you, what do you feel and sense from it? What steps forward from it for you? Now, for me, when I feel this is dark and light. This is ego and spirit. This is ego and intuition. This is groundedness and out of body. It's complex is what they're saying. So in each opportunity that we have, in each experience that we have, there is dark and light. There is heaviness and light. There is good and bad, right, wrong, and indifferent. And if we open our eyes wide enough, as the wise owl does, we are able to see from a higher perspective and able to learn our lessons that our ego mind and our ego eyes cannot see and sense. The next card, the broom, for whatever reason, this one's giving me mad chills. What dreams may come from what you seek, make room, make way, a clearing need be. Oh, how interesting. We were just talking about clearing. And check her out. Look at all the very interesting energy coming from this card. What's even breaking up my virtual background? Clearing, clearing, cleansing, clearing, transforming, transmutation are what words come through with this card. And we're going to choose just one more to see what comes through. Crystals and herbs. Oh, what medicine, what sacredness to behold, a dash of healing straight from mother's home. Look at all of these. Okay, she's got a lot of stuff around. She's mixing her herbs. She's got her crystals around on the table. So this is a reminder to us as we go through these different levels of ascension, as we experience these different energies of retrogrades and solar flares and astrology and galactic influence and just regular old 3D human stuff, right? That can be complex all on its own. It's important for us to remember we've got tools, right? Just the same way that they were reminding us about calling on our spiritual team, our angels, our guides. We have regular 3D tools here too. You know, we've got crystals, we've got herbs, we've got nature, we've got the elements, we've got the directions. There's so many different things that we have and can utilize. It's just that sometimes we need that reminder, right? So this week is setting up to be very, very energetic. Make sure you're taking time to ground. Make sure you're taking time to release, to clear, to check in on your boundaries. Hydrate, 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 hydrate. Use the tools that you have. Don't discount your abilities. Don't discount your amazing intuition. And please don't discount your worth. You are worthy of moving through these times of change with grace, with ease, and with understanding. Sometimes we allow our pain and our indecision and our ego mind to block the light. So have a beautiful, blessed week.